Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, I know many people ask you questions when they're getting ready to sell their homes. So, what are the top questions that home sellers should be asking before they do put their home up for sale?
Well, it's a really interesting market right now because what I'm seeing, at least in my practice and the homes that I'm putting on the market, unless they are underpriced, okay, they're not getting very much activity. Even the homes that look underpriced to me are still taking months to close and to sell. So um, it, 30% fewer buyers can afford these houses right now. They can only those are the ones that can manage these high interest rates if they're getting a loan. So even though it's more of a seller's market, it's only a seller's market if you have gotten all the four P's right: pricing, preparation, promotion, and picking the right agent. If you don't do that, it could hurt you in the long run. So let's talk about the questions that a home seller should be asking when they're planning to get their home on the market. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk about this is I know that people don't sell their homes every day, right? This is not a common thing. I work with many people that have never sold a home before. They don't know what to expect. It's not like selling a car. There's a lot of process, a lot of landmines, and a lot of people involved with the transaction, right? So, the number one question should be, what do I need to do to prepare my home for sale? Okay. Now, we do this multiple times a week, and that's part of what we do. We give you tips on what to do and more importantly, what not to do to get your house ready for sale. Because there's some things that you could be doing that may not necessarily add value. Um, and the other thing too is we're going to sit down and give you a really good idea of what price range your home will sell for, how much you'll put in your pocket when it sells, and what you can expect by the process, because it's not the same as selling a car. You have to get a buyer, then you have to go under contract, then the buyer has a right to their due diligence, and then they do an inspection. Then they ask for stuff. Then the appraiser comes along and they ask for stuff sometimes. So all these things, if we don't prepare our sellers properly, it creates a lot of emotion, a lot of drama, a lot of frustration when they think that once they got the contract, it's a done deal, and that's not necessarily the case. So number two question, how much is my house worth? Now, I have a majority of people that go up on Zillow. Whatever they see on Zillow must be what my house is worth. But I can tell you right now, Zillow isn't always accurate. Okay. Pricing a home correctly is probably one of the most critical decisions a home seller makes in the process. And at the end of the day, it's the market, it's the buyer that decides what they're willing to pay for the home, not Zillow, not an appraiser, nobody like that. Okay. So we can give you a really good guess based on what other similar homes are selling for. And that way you have kind of a certainty to know, all right, this is what my home will sell for. We can even show up with cash offers. We just sold a home last week in which the home seller priced it right. There was a pretty wide range of almost identical sales in his neighborhood for his home in the past few months prior to that. So when we sat down and looked at pricing, it was confusing. Of course, the seller wants the most money, and we had X as a square footage, X as a floor plan. We had a couple of homes that were sold as high as 570. We had a couple of homes that sold in the 480s. So which one was it? But because the seller wanted to get it sold, he didn't want it to languish on the market for a long time and deal with showing after showing, he chose the lower end of that range, priced it at $499. We had 34 people attend the open house. We got 2 offers, and it sold for over asking price in just 11 days. In my view, if I were a home seller right now, knowing what I know, that's the way I would do it. I wouldn't overprice the home. And here's why. You can push and a lot of people will push the price as high as they can go. And sometimes they're doing it based on what they think they're going to get in their pocket when it sells, but that assumes the buyer's willing to pay it. Whereas if you price it very realistically, what happens is the offers and the market gravitates to what the real market value is. At least that's my opinion. Okay, so that's why it's always good to have all the setup correct. And in this case of that example I just gave you, their house was in great condition. They priced it realistically. We marketed it very well, and we got a lot of demand right away. Question number 3 is, how long is it going to take to sell my home? Now, that's an interesting question, and that has changed substantially in the past few years. Just 2 years ago, you could get a home sold in hours. Now the average is, I think right now the market average in the Colorado Springs area, according to my source of statistics, is actually 98 days. That time frame, when you're looking at average days on market running from 90 to 180, is more of a kind of balanced market, not necessarily a seller's market, not necessarily a buyer's market. Median is 63. I don't really know the difference. But at the end of the day, if you price it realistically, you don't have to wait 4 months to sell your house. And guess what? Right now, because the market is, there's fewer buyers out there, a lot of agents are suggesting prices looking backwards in time that are actually above market value, right? That's not what homes are selling for now, but 4 or 5 months ago, they did sell for that. So what we're seeing is 50%. That's a huge number. Half the home sellers who put their house on the market are reducing their price because what they originally asked for is not working. And I'll give you a couple of rules of thumb about how you can tell if you are on the market, if you're priced right or not. All right, so the market leaves clues when you are on the market if you actually did get the 4 Ps right. Here's some general rules of thumb that I go by. If you've had 10 showings, 10 sets of buyers come through your house and you don't have offers, your price is too high. Or if you go with 10 days and no showings, your price too high. A rule of thumb is, though, if you're getting offers, you're in the ballpark. Now, you may not be getting the offers that you want, and you can certainly wait for the right offer. But if you're in the ballpark and you're getting offers, your pricing is really, really close. I actually had somebody that changed their price just by 1% after getting lowball offers, and we got full price. So you never know right now in this market. And there are a lot of factors that could change that, like the interest rates or anything like that. Now, if you're getting offers with what I call strings attached, that's another problem too. What would be the strings? If you had a house to sell, or like the one I just mentioned where the buyer asked for $31,000. They wanted the seller, and this is a $400,000 home approximately. They wanted the seller to give them more than 6% just so they can have a lower interest rate. And they thought it was perfectly fine. And you know what his answer was? We're going to wait until somebody else comes along that appreciates this home a little better.
There you go, right?
Sale contingencies are another string attached. I just closed one, actually, in which we actually had a 4-way transaction. Buyer from another state buying a house in Colorado Springs, and then they're buying a house in Colorado Springs, and then they're buying another house in Colorado Springs. So it was like a domino. If the first one didn't go right, all the rest of the dominoes failed. And that actually did happen. The wire didn't come through until late in the day and the last day of the year. And oh my God, red alert, we got to change all this stuff. So it can be very complicated, and you need somebody that understands how to work with these complicated problems. Otherwise, it can be super frustrating for you. But sale contingencies actually can work. It's just you have to be fully informed about what's going on. You have to have a lot of communication. And number 4, of course, would be, is it important to stage? And staging to me is more of a generic term. What I'm talking about there is, there are some homes that don't need staging, just so you know. There's some homes that are so pretty, you don't have to do much of anything. Okay. And that's great. That's not common. Most people don't live in the same way they present their home. So a lot of them need advice on how to position the home so it looks the best. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. So what we're talking about right now are what are the questions a home seller should ask? And when we come back, we're going to talk about some other questions that a home seller should be asking. So if you are thinking of making a move, we offer a free in-home consultation on what to do, what not to do to get your house ready for sale. We'll show you our buyers and give you a really good idea what your home will sell for and how much you'll put in your pocket when it sells. So all you have to do is give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
Barb, we're discussing the top questions a home seller should ask when they're getting ready to sell their home. Now, everyone knows that I've been recommending you for years now. Tell us what are some of the key questions that a home seller should ask from a real estate agent?
Well, this next one is about picking the right or picking the best real estate agent. You know, a majority of home sellers don't think about this. Most of them just go, oh, well, I like my agent that sold me the house, so I'll call them, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But then that's the only person they interview. Are there other choices, right? The hard truth is 80% of real estate agents get out of the business in 5 years because the hardest part about the business is actually getting business. They don't know how to do it in order to sustain a business. So a lot of them drop out. And worse yet, 81% of the area agents on the Front Range, and I have checked the stats, sell 3 or fewer homes a year. So if you end up with a complicated problem like I just described, your agent may not know what to do, right? They might just be the messenger, and that's not a good situation for you. This is one of your largest assets. You want somebody that knows what you're doing. Some of the questions they should be asking are, how many homes did you sell this year? Why should we pick you over other agents? What are you going to do to market my home? Those are good questions. And one of the questions I think is important is why. This is a great question. Why is my home's value for tax assessment different than market value? So last year, the county came out, this happened really across the board in Colorado, and they substantially stepped on the gas on the valuations that they were taxing these properties on. And some of them, the valuations were higher than what market value could bear today. So it's a really good question. I think the state law, it has to be between 18 and 24 months behind the current market. But the problem is that market values were higher 2 years ago. So that's what we were running into. And that's why you need somebody that really knows how to price and how to help you position the home so you get the most money. And then last but not least would be asking how long of an agreement that you need to sign with the agent and whether or not they will let you out of the contract if you're not satisfied. Most of them won't do that. And I think it's an important thing to do. Another thing that I get all the time is when's the best time to sell? The way I view this, the best time to sell is when you're ready. Okay. And most people aren't going to sell until they're ready. Doesn't matter if you sell in the summer, the winter, whatever. I personally like the early spring or late winter because there are fewer homes to compete from, but it doesn't matter. It's when you're ready. So if you are thinking of making a move and you'd like to talk to us, we offer 6 satisfaction guarantees. We offer a cancellation guarantee and a certified pre-owned home. If you'd like to interview us to help you sell your home, call us at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She's the host of the program. And if you're thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. And if you want a free report, the top 10 questions to ask before you hire a real estate agent, visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Go to the green button in the upper right-hand corner. It says free reports. Click on that. When we come back, we'll be discussing what home improvements reduce my home's value and appraisal.